thank you so much. I feel so lucky to be here. I think the last time I read at Decatur Book Festival was on the Emerging Poet stage. So I guess I've come up in the world. I don't know. I did want to read a couple of Danielle's poems. This is a great book, Desire Museum. I am in her class this semester at Georgia State. And so I emailed her and said, do you want me to read something for you? She's like, yes, I feel miserable. I can't be there. And so one of the, I just took the bookmark out. Since panel is about women, I'm going to read one of her poems called A Woman Asleep, after Vermeer. In the dim corner, just beyond the throw of light from the window, a woman rests her eyes, head propped up on a hand. She's narrowed between a heavily laden table, ripe fruit, messy linens, a cracked ceramic pitcher the color of bone winter sky, and a door half opened, bearing a distant light-filled room. X-radiographs expose his prior attempts. A dog in the doorway, a man in the back room. But he settled on leaving her alone, melancholy, too weary to rise out of her darkness. Such forbearance. In leaving her outside of the blaze, the gaze of the dog, the man, no one stepping into her soft black dream, no one asking her to smooth the tablecloth, her hair, in the voice that does not mean asking. As if, having wandered into her space, he realized it wasn't meant for him, and standing at her threshold said simply, sorry, then stepped out of the frame. And one more from her book at the end that she shared at her book launch, and it was about a friend of hers who took his life, and it was a beautiful poem. So this is called Call. It lies dormant in you, some kind of happiness. Even through the morning rain, the mundane turn out of the drive, onto the road toward work, the keening daffodils rising green and gold from the mud. Even when the sidewalk's gray leads into your chest, a solid, immovable light is waiting. All those years I believed joy impossible. All those years I swerved down dim-lit highways, the blur of headlights swirling around me, or wandered, weeping, to the edge of a precipice, or walked into a body of water, daring myself to breathe in. I'm speaking plainly now, because I don't want to invite confusion or to remain alone in this bright field. Step away from the edge and turn toward me. I see you. I know that ache in your chest means that you want to live. So those are two of Danielle's poems. There were so many of Stevie's poems that I felt I have poems that speak to that also. My book is mostly about how to recover your identity after you've had children and they've kind of stolen it from you. I say this lovingly as my daughter walks into the room. So my first poem I'm going to read is called What to Expect When You're Expecting. You will be spatchcocked, your sternum, your backbone scissored out. You will be parts without some, 2 dead legs like sturgeon, and 1 pulsing muscle, the last secrets of your body, splayed on the table like a butcher's shop, where all the open wounds of your life are for sale, and you will do as you're told, and you'll still fight it, your voice weak, half-hearted, stop looking, move away. And when they hold it up, you will not recognize this thing, fists tight against its face, waiting for the next right hook. I'm going to try and read some that I haven't read before. The last time I read, my parents were at my book launch. And so I'm going to read some that I could not read there because it would have been really awkward. But this is one that does not involve my parents. We'll get to those. This is called Self-Portrait as Sinkhole 1, a series of these. Here is the sequence. H2O, what too much drowns us, plus CO2, what burns the drowning, breeds carbonate, carbon eaten, something to gnaw on earth bones. But if loss, like a sinkhole, is the birth of a void which buoys up to the surface, it must then be there before we buckle. Before Jeffrey Bush, age 37, in his whole bedroom, collapsed into one brief gasp of the earth, his yellow hat still racked on the doorknob. Before the cops wrestle his brother from the pile, straddling the jagged slabs, the mattress still pinking from the dirt like a blossom. When they demolish the house, the ground still doubtful, shifty, he digs offerings from the rubble, some medals, a picture of Mom, a Bible. Everyone points, there, that's God. So Jeremy clutches him, dusty to his chest, and 2 years later, or before, when the hole, still hungry, gulps down the mound of white rock, closest they could come to hallowing, he's there to see it because he never left, lives 2 blocks away, and every day walks back to the fenced-off site, a circle in a square, a token saying, there, there. Every day, the slow acid drip, trying to rip the meaning off things like a price tag. It wasn't God, just crumbling rock. Listing what else he could have done. Swallow sand, disappear, dig for his brother's hand so he wouldn't be alone. Do we always get wrong when to let go? Read one of my motherhood poems. Apologies to the Catholics in the audience. I had to watch a YouTube video to get part of this poem right. This is called Motherhood is Not Unlike Philippe Petit, walking the tightrope between Notre Dame's 2 towers, gripping the long pole, every muscle tense to survival, to their mantra you recite in your head, don't look down, don't look down, don't look. And in the cathedral below, the priests have convened in their polyester vestments, their bodies housed in their chasubles, decked in pectoral crosses, dalmatics and cassocks, belted and mitred, cinctured with stoles and tassels, their copes, their multisyllabics of cloth. They're reading their mandates from the Holy See. They're laying on the heads of other men their hands. They're singing in the name of Christ and every holy saint. Bless these chosen men. Bless and sanctify these chosen men. Bless, sanctify, and consecrate these chosen men. Okay. So I do have several poems about my parents that I couldn't read last time. This one's called Watermelon in Sapphics. From a dusty shoebox, I unearth photos. One, a church picnic. My mother feeds my father watermelon, reaching to him her white arms, rind in his buried face, his thirsty, audible slurp devouring flesh. She smiles to see him immersed in melon, pink of all things female, forgetting all but contest, to beat your chest, to beat the others, then let your whiskers drip with juice, black seeds and your teeth defeated. Anyone can change over time, I know. But this was my father, green before he ripened, became with age sweet, sweeter, putting terms in their place. I savor such a moment, roll on my tongue the time he ate from her fingers. Let's see, I forgot to put on my timer, so oh, that didn't work. Okay. I think some of you are old enough to remember the show Magnum P.I., the first one with Tom Selleck. My mother had a lifelong crush on Tom Selleck, and so I had to write a poem about that. This one's called Mom and Tom Selleck. We all knew about him, even Dad, man of the house, man of demands, but never why. At 10, how could I? Hairy mustache, hairy brows, hairy chest man. At 43, I concede. Conceive The legs, the deep, deep dimples, no, mirth crevasses. And every girl he collects, every cracked porcelain girl whose hair he strokes, listening, he is soft, not softened by her. He is butter for every eggshell girl, butter that lives on the counter, butter waiting for the cake. I know what you're thinking, and you're right. Yes, he holds them, carries their secrets like their bodies. Like the snorkeling woman face down with the animal print ass. Yes, she is faceless in the water, and he is grinning. He knows, we know, he is a boy, caught before he got the cookie. And what would he do were we not watching? Would he unzip like a wetsuit and climb out, hairy and Greek god stiff? What is he waiting for? Us to turn away? No, this nymph has turned over, given herself over to him. A boy with knowledge, a body running on boyness, his hands just hands, heedful, not angry, not righteous. While she floats in muted light, where goatfish schools prone to rest are opening, making for her a gateway. Oh, Mom, meet him in paradise. That stopover on the way to Japan to meet your parents, and you are young again, 100 pounds lighter. He will meet you in his Ferrari, take you for a swim, take you to the tidal pools, bodiless. You will be all arms and legs. Together, you will stroke. I'm going to read something about my children. This is called Cotyledon. To kill the time before dinner instead of them, I drag my kids to the park and watch them from a bench do what kids do. Run the only way to live in the body, green their knees, stare brazen-eyed, graze on the words of other children, none strange, a word only for adults. Their truth, still chartreuse and capital. They climb, get stuck. The right of unsticking somehow belongs only to the first unsticker, the one whose birth canal they first burst through, you. But mostly, I try to read a book, recall how language once lived in me too. Seedlings of vines reaching up for sunlight through my throat. It closes thick on knuckle bone, on stone. How many doors away am I from that goddess with the birthing tongue? I once spoke things into being. I once could listen. The trees are hissing, full of insect wings in the dusk. A crack, a glass shattering like a voice, I know. My boy has tripped. She made me chase her, made me fall. Oh, agony, oh, ancient Adam cursed. Here's my lap. Let us sit by the power derricks, chained to the horizon. Let us listen. Mommy, he says, you can hear the wires crackle. Father tongue, after Stephen Dunn. I've had to stop bowing down to that old desire, a hand on the head in blessing. Any string of words that might have meant, you are my pearl. Sure, I've accepted pretty things, one sapphire pendant, a ring. If I wear them from that prongy mead, or some frugality inherited like ear shape, or a dexterous tongue, I can't say. Is there any sugar I could speak to loose the red drawstring of that face, so what emerges might be light-filled, not merely facetious? What crystal might I taste to unstone language, to make words a matter of sticks to gather up and burn? This is a poem I wrote during the pandemic when my children were trying to find things to do. And this is called Tail Elegy. Turbulence troubles the drain pipe like fear's quick wings in the belly. A fence swift. The same I'd freed weeks before from his Rubbermaid chamber, his stump now absolute. Ghost limb of an old soldier finding ways to bear his ghost pain. He'd hobbled out, lingered there by the gate, cowed like a man in a cheap suit, mustering dreams of volition, pondering his state, how he got there, so unprepared for the kids armed with crickets and worse, curiosity. How eager they were for the ambush. The flick of his tongue snapped back like a carpenter's tape, making the case for premeditation. Evil's clean seed pit. Soon, they said, imagining speech bubbles, whole narratives, whole theaters of feeling, ordaining each other lizard bard, lizard diviner, skink sibyl, the glass eyeball of future still murky. The truth is, he never performed, never confirmed one of their dreams. Their interest withered like a spent balloon, was mourned less. And when he hobbles away, such evident wreckage, I will absolve. We'll let them forget their tethering to ourselves, to our God. That could we escape would be another kind of loss. Children, let us burrow together into the neck of nature. Believe every wounded thing can summon a theory of green, some idea of itself, and start over. And I have no idea how much time I have. Okay, this is the last one. Something that I keep writing about is vultures. I guess because when I was doing some research, found that in ancient cultures, the vulture was a symbol of a female goddess because somehow she's able to transform dead things into life again. This is called Eve at 87, after Toni Morrison's Eve Remembering. I remember still the reedy ache, like the saxophone's need, swelling the tiled underground inside me. Again, I'd say if you asked, to swallow every seed, to know the juice of anything. That story, like an old billboard, its words now bleached to papery skin in need of sloughing. What I know of God is not without the gavel, not merely its wooden crack, but what I know of the hand, the slick meat swell of lambing, pink of my own cheek in the worm's wet body, the pine's promiscuity in spring chartreusing the world, the aspen's bony fractals lacing the face of the mountain, autumn strumming its amber ballads, summer fields frothing with milkweed, the old girls shaking out their hair, the ocean white with miles of herring milt and egg, seagull clamor hovering over glittering backs of their parents, the hunger in every gilded landscape. Oh, infinitely more. Could you dream what is past the carnival of temporary outbuildings, the trailers of belief? What lush grasses await? What whispers there? What other prayers you haven't yet mouthed, even for the grip of shards, a hard snow? You too could bloom past a theory of fruit. What is one paper bag's quarrel with the wind against the river's muscling, its endless desire, when every mouthless vine that seeks the light is a prayer, when even the vulture, wearing her blackened grief, redeems the armadillo? Thank you.